In an atmosphere of approaching war, the patriotic forces started to organize the defense system. Groups of volunteers were secretly formed who became frontliners when the aggression started. That youth, devoted to freedom, was mostly unarmed. However, these wonderful young men and women were led by love toward Bosnia, so that even the modest weapons in their hands gave hope to defenseless citizens. Thus, the Army of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina was born. At first, the army was limited to collecting weapons when winning battles against the aggressor. At the same time, various companies and private entrepreneurs were organizing their own weapons production in factories and handicraft shops on liberated territory. The enthusiasm, the speed and the inventive spirit marked the existence of a movement during the aggression where engineers and mechanics turned civilian production lines into the war frontline production within several weeks, making grenades, bombs, ammunition, infantry weapons and combat system components. Defense is not only a matter of weapons, but also a matter of motive. Ordinary people were determined to go for it because they were most needed here and most devoted to Bosnia.
Rad naših snagama je na zavidnom nivou. Odaziv našeg stanovništva je maksimalno I vjerujem da ćemo uspjeti.
Aware of people's unpreparedness for war compared to the dominant aggressor, almost everyone around the world, as well as some in Bosnia, thought resistance would be equal to suicide. But history was here enriched with one more lesson, showing that the power of people cannot be measured with iron, because the homeland is a matter of heart. Her sons do not defend it because of its strength and wealth, but because it is their mother. Bosnian people never knew how much they loved their country until nowadays, nor had Bosnia ever before remembered such a loyal, courageous and strong generation, the generation that filled the aggressor with horror and the world with wonder. A very popular song says that the smell of lilies was spreading throughout Bosnia in those days. The feeling of freedom was growing among people. The aggressor's idea of a blitzkrieg faded away like an artificial fog. The planners of the SDS and the JNA strongly believed that Bosnia would capitulate within 2 or 3 weeks. However, something totally different happened. People were rising spontaneously like an ocean high tide. The aggressor attacked every little part of their defense. Despite that, there were always more people than weapons available. A large portion of the country was occupied, but the Bosnian man didn't want to surrender. Outlawed members of the JNA were given resistance by the units of the Territorial Defense, the Internal Affairs Ministry, the Patriotic League, the Green Berets, Bosnia, and the Sons of Bosnia. The world began to hear about the heroism of people only sporadically observed in the beginning. Some names, unknown before, began to be whispered and sang about in city streets, the countryside and the mountains. Ramiz Salcin, Mustafa Hajrullahović Talijan, Mihailo Petrović, Aba, Fadila Ođaković, Žuta, Vinko Samarlić, Dragan Vikić, Kemo Ademović, Juka, Mutevelija, Čelo, Topa, Doktor, Senad Džino, Miralem Jugo, Lovac, Senad Bolić Bolo, Fata Turkušić, Muderiz, Čedomir Domus, Igor Pavlović, Hamdija Avdić Tigar, Mirsad Crnkić, Rifat Kobrđa, Enver Pamukčić, Zaim Imamović, Čaruga, Havarija, Jupi, Žabac, Čupov. The night between the 1st and 2nd of May in 1992, perhaps only children slept peacefully. Adults were terrified by the threat of the worst. Actually, the day before, on Friday, May the 1st, at the Sarajevo airport, the JNA had kidnapped the president of the BH presidency. Together with the escort that included the vice president of the Republican government, he was captured in a barracks. It was a classical coup aimed at overtaking the rule in the country and establishing a quisling government in order to annex Bosnia and Herzegovina to what was left of Yugoslavia. For avoiding that ominous plan, we should thank a coincidental telephone conversation, which was covered by the television of Bosnia and Herzegovina in its central news program. Under the pressure of the local public and afraid of international reaction, the Yugoslav army had to release the president of the BH presidency. However, it did not give up the second part of the plan, which was to capture the head offices of the government and the presidency and to lay siege to the old part of the city, traditionally inhabited by Bosniaks. The patriots prevented that from happening, realizing that despite brutal destruction, they couldn't besiege the city. The JNA and Karadžić's Serbs totally burned down the central post office building in Bosnia and Herzegovina, thus cutting all the links of Sarajevo with the outside world. In the miracle of Bosnian survival and newly gained freedom, the biggest credit goes to ordinary fighters, those unnamed heroes of the most horrible part of this century's history. In the capacity of Supreme Commander, the BH Presidency called upon the Yugoslav army members originating from Bosnia to join in the defense. The intention was to minimize the death and wounding of soldiers. At the same time, it was an important basis to give the defense a professional quality, as well as to coordinate and connect troops within the country. Colonel Hasan Efendic was the head of the Territorial Defense Headquarters at the state level. After forming the Army of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the BH Presidency appointed Sefer Halilović the Chief of Staff. The Presidency also introduced the position of the Commander-in-Chief and appointed Rasim Delić, the Supreme Commander, on June the 8th, 1993. After the first brigades, they started to form operational groups and corps. In some parts of the front line, they also formed divisions. A new and a glorious army was about to come into being in Europe, in the midst of war. There is a saying dating from the Middle Ages about the fact how Bosnia had allegedly fallen quietly. Even if it had happened then, this time there wasn't the slightest hint it would happen again. On the contrary, the resistance of Bosnia was heard up to the skies.
Dobro ste naoružani. Sljedeća popuna municijom kočetnika. Je li jasno?
From every battle, the army came out stronger. It captured the aggressor's war machinery, and the aggressor had increasing human losses. On the territory which was defended by the BH army, the relation of human losses was 90 to 10. The aggressor's fighters were killed mostly on the front line. The Bosnian soldier never attacked civilians. He was motivated by freedom, not by revenge.